My Mug, episode 368 on Monday the 30th of November 2015. I am your host, Stephen Layton, with a croaky throat. Welcome to In My Mug. Welcome. That's the news. Okay, so the news. The first talk from the Tamper Tantrum that we held in Manchester went live on Monday last week. It's from my good friend, Mr. Colin Harmon. It has a rude title, so I can't say it on here because I don't want to get the explicit thing on iTunes. But it's all about coffee shops cupping. It's a really interesting talk. Colin is an amazing speaker. You should definitely go check it out. Even if you're kind of not really into the industry side of it, I think everybody can get something out of it. He's a very clever guy as well. Don't tell him that. I decided after last week's news where I said, Alaska, you should drink it. I don't know if it's going to be In My Mug. This is how In My Mug gets decided. It was straight off the hip. And I went, actually, we're going to do Alaska this week. So, sorry about that. But if you did buy it last week, you're going to get an amazing coffee this week, which is really good too. Sorry. I've added a new book to the site. It's by a guy called Rob Hoos, and it's all about coffee roasting. It's one man's... what's the word I'm looking for? See, I'm not very good with the words. One man's thoughts on roasting. It has lots about chemistry and theology of roasting. Manifesto, there we go, that's the word I was looking for. I knew it would come to me eventually. One man's manifesto of coffee. You should go check it, it's 20 quid, it's a really good read, and I wholeheartedly recommend it. And that was the news. We should get to focus on. This week's focus on is on the town of Santa Ana. So all of these lies have come from Wikipedia, so it could be that they're not true, but Santa Ana is the second largest city in El Salvador. I know this to be true. It's located 64 kilometres to the northwest of San Salvador, which is the capital city. Has a population of around about 275,000 people, and serves as the capital for the department of Santa Ana and as the municipal seat for the surrounding areas. It is divided into 35 colonies, or what's the other word? Canton type things, and 318 small villages, and is a major part of the El Salvador coffee industry. It has a huge processing facility there. There are two very well-known ones. The most well-known probably being James Hill, and it's become a very popular tourist destination. Not James Hill, Santa Ana. And has an awful lot of culture, perhaps more culture than the capital. That was focus on. So this week's coffee is a coffee that I probably fell in love with back in 2007. And we haven't had for a long time, and I welcome it back with huge, welcoming, opening arms. Finca, Alaska, is a farm located around about an hour from Santa Ana, but that is the closest city to it, and it's on the northwest slopes of the Santa Ana volcano, a super famous growing area for super famous El Salvadorian coffees. Talking about super famous people, it's grown by a guy called Ernesto Mendez, known as Neto. You may have had La Illusion at some point in the past. It is a stonking coffee, a stonking producer. Neto owns around about 5 farms. This is one of the smaller ones. It's about 3 hectares, I think. But I fell in love with this in the Cup of Excellence back in 2007, and it was my introduction to Neto. Neto hadn't won any competitions at that point. This was his first time that he'd got into the Cup of Excellence. And it's a coffee that when people ask me, like, my favourite coffees, they normally come from Neto. This one's definitely my top 10 all-time ever coffees. If you go onto the website, you can see this was when I first met Neto, and this was the night that he actually won the Cup of Excellence with La Illusion, and that's where the relationship started. But unfortunately, we didn't have La Illusion and Alaska for a little while because of some miscommunications, some politics that went on. And it's been really difficult to kind of get it to the point where we could. Not with Netto, it was with other people who were buying this coffee at the time, and it didn't really work out. And then it made an appearance back in 2011. We got it back, but unfortunately, again, there were more issues getting this coffee. You don't understand the politics that are involved in buying coffee. It really is quite bad. But 4 years later, we have it again, and that's why I'm so excited about sharing it with you, and that's why I made such a big thing about it last week. It is a fantastic coffee. We should go through the facts and figures. It is from the country of El Salvador. It is from the Santa Ana volcano, the Apaneca Lamatec mountain range, nearest city of Santa Ana, owned and grown by Juan Jose Ernesto Mendez Aguilero, to give him his full name, but Neto Mendez is what everybody calls him. Altitude of 1,600 metres, around about 3 hectares in size. Is all coffee, there's nothing else grown there, there's no house or anything. It is a Bourbon. It is a fully washed and sun-dried on raised beds. And yeah, I think that's pretty much everything. So we should go and do the map bit. Hello and welcome to this week's map bit. Here we are waving up into the sky and going away eventually, and we're going across the Atlantic, a familiar route across to Central America. So there we are, the wonderful it's not a continent actually, I now know it is North America all the way down to Panama. Didn't know before, but yes, it is North America. But we are interested in getting into detail, so we're going to go down to El Salvador. El Salvador is of course somewhere we've visited a lot on the map bit, but we've always got a new fact. El Salvador's mobile phone density is one of the largest in the world, 125 per 100 people. There must be a lot of people with 2 mobiles there, mustn't there? But let's go down and get really close. So to the left there we can see Santa Ana, and here we can see Finca, Alaska. Some great detail on this one. You can really see the coffee trees. You can see the whole shape and texture and contour of the land. You can also see there that it's just a bit further down from La Lujon and that Santa Ana volcano. It really is properly on the volcano, and you can see the sea just in the distance there. Great idea of what 1,800 metres above sea level really looks like. So the lowest point is that Pacific Ocean that you can see in the distance there, and the highest point is 2,730 metres, which is the Cerro El Pital. So yeah, even more detail in there. I love to see that crater of the volcano. That's really exciting when you can see that level of detail. And that was the map bit. Good map bit. I can't remember if it is, but I hope that it is. I should have good coordinates for it. Now it's time for Roland's Daft Fact of the Week. The current mayor of the Santa Ana town is from the right-wing party in El Salvador that has been growing over recent years. Roland's too, it's Mario Marina from the Arena Party. It's the National Republic Alliance, and it's been a big thing in El Salvador that there's been a big move to the right in politics there, cozying up with such wonderful people like the Venezuelans and stuff. I mean, Venezuelan people are lovely. The Venezuelan government, I don't believe we have shared the same politics, but very, very interesting the way there's been that lurch to the side. Anyway, I'm going to put you on pause. I'm going to go make tasty, delicious drinks. Be back with you in just a second. I'm back. Let's get into this espresso. Kindly made for me by Mr. Roland Glue today of Daft Fact fame. Be horrible, wouldn't it? Ooh. No, it's not. Ooh. So my cupping descriptors for this, I love this one. It's one of my favourites. Is Galaxy chocolate but melted down. But what you get in the espresso is this blast of peach acidity on the back as well. So you get this lovely creamy, thick, gooey chocolate, and then it goes boom, and you get this acidity, and it really is sort of peachy into the milk. chocolate, a little bit of chocolate, not a lot else, a little bit nutty, but no, it's okay. I think it's a great cappuccino. It's a blinding espresso. Still got to keep that non-swearing thing for the iTunes. And into my heart mug. I like heart roasters. If you're ever in America, I think they've got somewhere in New York. They do a lot of guests in New York anyway, but they're based in Portland, Portland, Oregon, I think it is. Yeah, you should definitely check these guys out. Good roasters. It's nutty. It's hazelnut. It's milk chocolate. The peach acidity is there in the brew, but it's not as big as it is in the espresso. And it's actually in the middle, whereas that very much on the espresso is on the end. But that's delicious coffee. It really is delicious, delicious coffee. I am so pleased to have this back. So good. Yes, thank you to Ernesto for letting us have it back. And yeah, I spent 2 days with Neto. Had a really good time. No, he's a great guy. Right, I'm done. Finishing. Thank you very much for joining me, as always. And do remember, life is too short for bad coffee.